Hello my crafty friends, it's Krista here from Second Chance Creation. I know, long time no see, long time. Life has been very challenging, and yes, that's all I can say. So I was tagged by Bonny and Clive. My apologies, Bonny, in regard to April scrap busting, I think, and it's the last day of April, and I thought, oh my goodness, I better make a video. So this is what I've been making with my scraps. I've made these a little while ago. I think I started them when Bonny tagged or asked me if I wanted to join in and tagged me. So really humble apologies, Bonny. So I use buckles, buttons and clothing tags. Okay, this is just a little experiment, sanding it just to see what the color looks like. So let's start with the buckles. Now what can I make with buckles and big buttons? I actually saw it on Pinterest quite a few months ago, and when I was organizing my stash of things, I come across the buckles and the buttons, and then I remembered what I saw and I thought, awesome, let's do it. I made them a little bit different, and I can't remember how the person made it or what it was. It was, you know, like I said, it was a while ago. So I used a round buckle, and they measure, this one measures about 4 3/4 centimeters, or a circle of nearly 2 inches. Okay, this one measures just a tad over 1 inch, or 3 centimeters, and it is 4.5 centimeters long, or just over 1.25. I have a button. Now this button is a little bit smaller to the one that I used, but you can still work with it. This one is 1.25 wide. Okay, so let's get into it. So I'm going to leave this here to make sure that I'm in frame. So let's use a buckle. So I've used a rectangle buckle, and it's a very vintagey buckle. Had all these fancy things on here, and what these are going to be where's my little, just bear with me, I'm just going to get my ball pin. I thought I had one on there, I must have pinched it, and I've made it in such a way that you can put a ball pin in there and use it as a dangle. Okay, so there's a safety pin glued onto the back of this little journal, and I've made a little ribbon tie here that just tucks in, and I've used a book page, and I've just popped on a sticker, and then I've just got some pages and did a 3-stitch pamphlet stitch, and on the back I glued the safety pin and stemmed the paper so it wouldn't go anywhere, and I've just glued that onto the back, and you can just wind it around and just tuck it in whichever way you want to tuck it into, just like that. I mean, how cool is that? And I think either this one or the other one will go in my garden journal that I'm making. So that's the rectangle button. Then we have a round buckle. Okay, another green one, and here I used ribbon with some beads. Again, a bowl pin with the safety pin, and here I got this out of a book, and I just made the pages in such a way, I used my 2-inch circle punch, and I only cut it to a certain width so that it stayed joined, and I inked the pages and popped in some stickers. Okay, I might even use that one for my garden journal. So that's that one. The other one is a little button. I think this is a bit bigger. Yes, as you can see, it's a bit bigger. And I used a piece of wool with some beads. They're little wooden beads. One of my really old stickers, and used a bit of cheesecloth and just scraps of paper. And I've used some of these and cut them out in my, I think it was my 1-inch hole punch or something, I think. And made little, just put the little stickers in there, bits of paper. I mean, how cool are these? Okay. So they are so cute. And this is the back of the button. Okay. So that's the button and buckle. Now, tags. My husband 3 years ago ordered Ridgeline clothing, winter clothing. Comes from New Zealand. So I'm just going to check to make sure it's all in line. Oh, yes it is. Okay. So what I've made with the tags is I have made page toppers, you know, for over the page. And I used magnet, and I used paper clip, and I didn't use anything of these because you can also use them as a tag. Okay, so let's start with this one, or these two actually. So these ones are just, you can open them up and journal on the middle. So you can use them as a tag. I've used a magazine page, I used tea bag, a button, a little cutout, and corrugated cardboard, magazine page, and allowed the green to come through, which is this. Okay, so on the inside I've used coffee dyed papers to cover the writing, okay, because I've made them like this. Okay, again, tea bag, bit of lace fabric, and a cute little button. And this one I've made quite vintage, and it had heritage written on the bottom, so I actually used that. And I sanded the edges just to sort of take away the black. Again, these are some of my eco-dyed papers. Just line it so you can journal on it. And on the back, this is from my Little Women's book. I used one of the die cut frames and one of my paper flowers, scrappy flowers. So how cool is that? So I think they'll be good for in the pockets. Now for the paper clips, this one I used a paper clip, and I also used some metal corner embellishments. But what I did was I actually glued them onto this paper. I did some painty papers, probably say 5 years ago, and I kept them. And I glued them on the back of this, and really clamped it. And then I was able to glue, because it had a paper backing, quite easily glue it onto here. And I used glitter glue for that. A tea bag, some more of this paper. Here I had a sticker, and I actually stuck it to a book page because I didn't like the plain background. I wanted some writing. And so then I had a book page that was glued onto here as well to make it more secure, because I didn't do any sewing on this, and just use a piece of paper tape there. And on the back I've used some more of this paper, and you can actually jot notes on it, so that when it gets clamped onto the back of a page, let's just say this is a page, it looked pretty cool, doesn't it, on that side and on that side. And then this one, I just used some beautiful, very old vintage lace. Had a pretty flower, used a button, and I had this little charm for a long time, and I actually stitched it on. So whoever buys the journal might want to, they can cut it off and use it for something else. And so this will be going in the garden journal. And then on the back I've done the same, but I've made a little pocket. Another one of those stickers that were gifted to me. and I backed it onto book pages. And here I've backed the stickers onto the painty papers. And this is a book page, and painty papers. And I've made them into little writing tags. And they just fit in here. Now this is a magnet one, so I've put 2 magnets, one here and one here. And that just fits on the page. Or I should say just clips on the page. You can even double it. It's quite secure. It's a very strong magnet. And this, of course, is the paper clip. So they're all the sort of scraps that I used up, and also clothing tags. I don't think you can get any scrap here. I think the only thing that I used was the metal embellishments, the stickers, and there's a bit of seam binding there. Yes, so let me know of your thoughts. Looks pretty cool, I reckon. And yeah, I'm just put this off here. So these are the tags. And then I have, I mean, these are really scrappy ones, aren't they? Little journals that you can use for charms. Okay. And so while we're on that, I'll just show you what else I made with scraps. I made some belly bands and some embellishments for pages. So I've used some of my stamps to make a belly band. And I used postal stamps that have got like flowers on them, or like a church there. And there's a lady there, contemplating probably. And then I used some book pages that I folded, embellished them in between with some brown paper bag. I think it was a Woolies bag, a bit of cheesecloth. And then I had some cutouts of these little pictures, and yes, used some fabrics, scraps, and that would make a great little belly band, or for, you know, decoration on the side of a page. That would look really cool as well, and you can make it into a tuck spot. And this one is another one. Here I've used a bit of music paper, and I stitched this one with a zigzag stitch. Did a button with a bit of the thread. Had this fancy bit of fabric left, and a little photo, and I actually popped that onto my collage pages in my book. And this is a separate piece. It was from a bingo card. Really old button, this one. And then on here is, of course, like a measuring tape, which was part of the book page that was collaged. And here's a smaller one. This will probably be a pretty cool one to put on a page like that. And then you have that peeking out, and you can use that as a tuck spot. Again, just fold it, the papers in any which way but loose. Used an old zipper. Okay. And bit of cardboard here, stitched it, little photo, and I think someone sent me there, I think I sent away for, someone was printing some photos out on cardstock, and I thought, well, that'll be a change. And it was an Aussie Etsy store, so I purchased them to support the little shop. And just popped a little label on here. I mean, how cool are they? I really like these, and they're so easy to make. And I've made another one with just all houses or castles, and used my stamps and used the backing of just odd bits and papers. This actually was from a magazine promoting private college in Armidale or Tamworth. It was very thick cover, and the inside had that in it, and I thought, oh, I like that. So yes, and did a bit of stamping. And of course, when I made some of these, I got carried away and made a whole heap of them. As you see, this is tea bag covered. So this is from my collage pages in my book. And I've just made little pieces like that and stitched them on. Again, see, music paper, different papers, and just some numbers, random numbers out of a magazine. Music, but these are all like on the magazine. That one is on a Woolies bag. Magazine. There's a magazine. Backed on magazine. Here's one with the old cars. We all remember those cars, don't we? On the back of the magazine. And then a bus. And I just popped a ticket on. You might be going somewhere. It's on the back of the magazine. They're the pages that I used when I collaged all this scrappy piece. And then I had a piece of this floating around. I thought, oh, I might as well use that up. And you know, you just open it up and you've got little bits of scrap paper. I might put that in the garden journal. And this was all one piece, and I cut it up to put the brad through so that I could just close it just like that. And that'll, you know, you can put that on a page. Glue that on a page and you've got, you know, something to journal on. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed my little share of scrappy bits. That definitely is a scrappy bit. They're all my scrappy bits. Just using up scraps. I think that's what it's all about, isn't it? And that's what it was. And just some buttons and buckles. So I really like these. So let me know of your thoughts. And I'm not sure when I'll get back on here. It's been a while. There is a lot of stuff happening in my life at the moment. So nothing bad. Just might be a few life changes. So anyways, yeah. So happy crafting. I hope you got inspired with these. Because if you've got buckles and big buttons, use them as charms. Instead of just, you know, as a button charm. Use them to make little journals on. Alright, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.